afternoon, everyone. Phil Simons here with Columbia Grain and your post-USDA monthly supply and demand recap. Well, the cat's out of the bag with the latest monthly data dump from the USDA. Today, the USDA provided us with their first glance of new crop potential production, along with potential new crop ending stocks. So really quite a few numbers to look at this afternoon. But really, moral of the story here is that there will be more soybeans and potentially less wheat, potentially less corn coming at us on the horizon. But again, there are quite a few numbers to look at this afternoon, so I do want to share my screen with you and get right into it here. So really starting on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see that the USDA gave us some numbers this morning, and starting with U.S. corn production. You can see that new crop, the USDA is anticipating the overall U.S. corn production to be at 14.460 billion bushels. Now, this is a little bit of a surprise, or at least a reduction when we take a look at where the number was from last year, which was 15.115 billion bushels. So overall, if these numbers are to come true, this would be a 655 million bushel reduction in production from where we were from last year at this time. Looking at soybeans in the middle part of your screen, you can see that the number this morning came in at 4.640 billion bushels. Again, a little bit of a surprise in comparison to where we were last year in terms of overall U.S. soybean production, which was 4.435 billion bushels. Again, not a huge surprise there, but definitely more than where we were last year by about 205 million bushels in overall U.S. soybean production. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, we're going to look at all wheat and then break it down by winter wheat as well. But you can see that the USDA was giving us numbers this morning for all wheat production, which came in at 1.729 billion bushels, which was actually slightly lower than the average estimate, but definitely a little bit higher than where we were last year at this time. And when on the right-hand side of your screen in this chart, you can see where we break it out by winter wheat as well. And the USDA numbers this morning are coming in at 1.174 billion bushels of U.S. winter wheat production going forward to new crop. Now, this was a little bit of a not really a major surprise, but you can definitely see that this is they're building in a reduction in production by about 103 million bushels in terms of winter wheat. So definitely taking into account some of the latest weather events that we've been seeing throughout the U.S. The next slide here, we're going to kind of change gears a little bit and look at U.S. ending stocks now. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see that the corn numbers this morning for old crop came in at 1.440 billion bushels in terms of U.S. corn ending stocks. When we fast forward and look at where new crop potentially will be, at least according to the USDA, we see that their numbers are coming out at 1.360 billion bushels. So again, less corn on the horizon in terms of where the ending stocks could potentially be for new crop and going forward. Middle part of your screen, again, we're going to look at soybeans, and you can see that from this morning, the numbers from old crop soybeans, USDA is giving us 235 million bushels in terms of ending stocks, in comparison to the yellow line up here, which is coming in at 310 million bushels for soybeans. Now, this would be an increase of roughly 75 million bushels from this past year anyhow. When we look at wheat on the right-hand side of your screen again, we can see that the old crop ending stocks for U.S. wheat, the USDA has us penciled in at 655 million bushels. And then if we fast forward to new crop, the USDA is actually anticipating us to see a little bit more of a reduction and down to 619 million bushels, which would be about a 36 million bushel decrease from where we were this year. So again, definitely taking into account some of the weather issues that we've been seeing throughout the U.S. And again, turning the page again to page 3, when we look at the world ending stocks now, the overall globe in terms of overall ending stocks for commodities, again, starting on the left-hand side of your screen, we're going to start with corn. We can see that the world ending stocks for corn for old crop were coming in at 309 million metric tons. And the USDA is anticipating the ending stocks for corn in the world for next year to be at 305 million metric tons. So down about 4 million metric tons from where we are this year for corn. Again, in the middle part of your screen, we can see that soybeans, the numbers for old crop this morning were coming in at 85.2 million metric tons. And again, an increase when we fast forward to new crop at 99.6 million metric tons. So again, 14.4 million metric tons would be the actual increase if these numbers are realized going forward. And again, on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see that world wheat ending stocks for old crop this morning are coming in at 279 million metric tons. And again, fast forwarding, looking forward to new crop, we can see that the USDA is anticipating us to see 267 million metric tons as we go forward here in the world. But really interesting to note is the world wheat situation and the way that it looks right now. And yes, we are definitely going to be seeing a reduction in the bulk numbers for world ending stocks and wheat. And yes, we will see that 52% of the world wheat stocks continue to be held in China, but the balance sheets as it stands still show a lot of wheat in the world, but we are definitely beginning to see a downtrend. It's really going to come down to, can we physically move the wheat given the continued war in Russia and Ukraine, or will buyers look for origins other than Russia and Ukraine as we move forward? But you can definitely see, I did want to just highlight where the historical world wheat ending stocks have been, really just going back to the year of 2000. So you can see here where we had close to 200 million metric tons, and then we really ranged all the way down to closer to 140 million metric tons and everywhere in between, with a high of 308, it looks like, million metric tons back in 2019. But you can definitely see that the trend that we've been experiencing over the last few years has been a reduction in ending stocks of overall world wheat. But when we look at what the overall price action on the day was after all the report was digested by everyone, we can see that looking at new crop contracts over on the left-hand side of your screen, we can see that Dees corn was actually able to hold on to 18 cents throughout the day. Nove beans were kind of drug along, really more kicking and screaming than anything else, and were able to actually hold on to 8 cents throughout the day. Again, the fireworks were all seen in the wheat pit. You can see that Kansas City Dees wheat, Dees 22, was able to hold on to 68 cents throughout the day. Chicago Dees wheat was able to hold on to 64 cents, and Minneapolis wheat held on to 60 cents. Interesting to note that the price limit move in Minneapolis is 60 cents. So Minneapolis did close at the price limit high of the day, and really Kansas City and Chicago also traded at limit of 70 cents throughout the day. It just did back off slightly right at the end of the session. So really just stay tuned as the volatility continues to magnify and really be elevated as the markets continue to tackle what risk premium we really should have currently baked into the overall markets. And we haven't even gotten into the topic of inflation. And remember that commodities are a natural hedge against inflation. So that is going to do nothing but add another level of uncertainty to the markets. So I can't stress enough how important it is for you to get your orders out there and get them working for new crop and for the 2023 as well. Because if one thing is certain, it's that the uncertainty is going to continue. So have a great day, everyone. We'll talk with you later on.